weird already.
So we start our class. Please palms together. 南无本师释迦牟尼佛。
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 So we say hi to each other. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, class, let's take a look. See where we're. So we are in the page 116. Let's take a look. Page 116. Okay, class, let's take a look. Basically, we're in the Mahayana teaching. Okay, so the Mahayana teaching. So in the previous class, so this is the introduction to the Buddhism, the teaching, history, and the practice. So basically, I think now we are supposed in what chapter? Let's see. Chapter number 5. It is correct. Chapter number 5. Mahayana philosophy. So let's take a look. Now, in the previous lesson, we talked about the Sunyatavadi orientations in our previous class. Sunyatavadi, in the simple way, is regard the Sunyata. Well, most of us, we're quite familiar with the Diamond Sutra, Kam Gong King, and also the Heart Sutra. Basically, all these sutra, it tell us that everything is, based on condition, even though Nibbana itself also based on the condition. Okay, so this is how the Heart Sutra and Prajna Sutra, to tell us. So let's take a look, see how. So in the previous lessons, we talk about that we talk the Prajna wisdom is the perfection paramita involved in the bodhisattva path. Okay, then lastly, I see bodhisattva should produce an unsupported thought, the thought which is no way support, a thought unsupported by sight, sound, smell, taste, touchable, and mind object. So this is quite similar with the Abhidhamma. Even though bodhisattva itself also should be they are able have experience of the vipassana. So now we go to the empty dharmas and condition arising. Can you please read the passage? The key perfections.
Key perfection of wisdom, criticism of Abhidhamma thought, primarily Sawadin, was that it did not go for far enough in understanding that everything is non-self. Empty sunya of self. It understood the absence of self in persons, Pugala Nairatnya. But when it analyzed persons down into dhammas, each with inherent own nature sattva, it was seen not to have understood the absence of self in dhamma. Dhamma Nairatnya, that they are essenceless. The perfect wisdom of literature holds that a dhamma and also an ordinary thing is not an ultimate fact in its own right, for it cannot be anything but itself. Its arising and very nature are dependent on the other dhammas, which are interdependent on others, etc. It is empty of any sattva. Edward Conze explained that for the perfection of wisdom, sattva means natural or inherent condition of something existing through its own power alone, having an invariable and inalienable mark, and having an immutable essence. In its own being, a thing is just itself, and not merely as it is relative to ourselves or to other things. Paul Williams argued that while the terms inherent nature for Sawadhi in Mayamika. It underwent a subtle shift in meaning to intrinsic existence to inherent existence in the sense of a causally independent, fundamentally real existence. That is, its meaning was still seen to include inherent nature, but this was seen to also imply inherent existence. Aspect of critique of inherent existence are then seen to imply a critique of the idea of inherent nature.
Okay, never mind, we can stop here. We digest first. Okay, finished, Sally and Mr. Leong? Okay. Once we talk about this issue, I think a little bit history of Buddhism, we have to include it. We got to include it. Let's take a look. So this is okay, there's two schools involved. One we call it as a Sawastiwada, Sawastiwadin. Basically, Sawastiwadin is they are very huge group. After Buddha Bari Nibbana, I think maybe about 600 and 700 years. They emerge, about 800 years they emerge, and they are very powerful. Let's take a look. So after Buddha Bari Nibbana begins 200 years, okay, it starts bleeding. So this is Mahasamgika, which is quite influential to the Mahayana. Like present, like today in Mahayana, we talk about the Bodhisattva, we talk about the 6 Paramid, and including the Buddha from the 10 direction. They are all is under this Mahasamgika. Okay, whereas in Theravada, Sawastiwadin is here. So Sawastiwadin we see here, and then we see the Dhammakutta, okay, which is our Vinaya, my Vinaya, origin from Dhammakota. And then where is the Tariya Timsa? Tariya Timsa is not in the diagram here. It's somewhere here actually. So basically, Tariya Timsa already they have been living Indian about 3rd century before Christ. So meaning to say that they are quite unrelated to what are we talking about. But they are very quite close to the Sarvastivadin. So in Sarvastivadin, what they mention is the intrinsic nature. In Sarvastivadin, they believe that what formed the whole world. Once they are trying to analyze the particles or with something we call as the klapa, rupa klapa. When they analyze the thing to the subtle and the minor part, then they discover that there's something called as intrinsic nature. So this type of nature is something you cannot separate it, which is you cannot separate it anymore. Okay, and you can say that this is the basic to form everything from the nature in the whole universe. But for Madhyamika, they disagree. They say you shouldn't have something as intrinsic nature one. I mean, for the fire, you see, as we know, we got the kalapa. We analyze the kalapa. Once we analyze the kalapa to the subtle part, kalapa maybe in present day we call it as a cell. So we're able to see there will be fire element, water elements, air elements, all the elements is there. So for Sarvastivada, they say that all the elements they are permanent. They say that this is a subtle one. They are not based on any condition anymore. But for Madhyamika, they say no, you shouldn't say that. You say even though you go to the very subtle part, including the fire elements, water elements, even the fire element itself, they are also based on cause and condition. This is what the Madhyamika, they keep on mentioning. But of course, just merely, fire, water, air elements, they wouldn't merely exist by itself. They usually usually exist in the form of kalapa. Meaning to say it's a segregation for all egg. The egg primary substance in order to form a kalapa. And this kalapa will combine with other factors like the nerve of our eye, the nerve of our ear. So they will be located in a different location based on the combination. So this is what is the argument from. Okay, but of course, if let's say we go through the meditation, I think this all is come from the meditation. Basically, nowadays, if you go to learn the meditation, you're able go to the jhana, you will freeze all the kalapa by using the jhana. So in the kalapa, you go through inside to see the elements. So for them, it is good enough already. They notice that the kalapa inside got the earth, water, air elements, and from here. And from here they start to observe the time, what is the cause for everything, nama and rupa. And then from here they start to observe the anicca, dukkha, anatta. For them, this is, the cell, the perception of the wrong cell had been abolished already, gone already. So whereas Mahayana, it mentioned that you have to go through inside the fire element and analyze again the fire element. That I think maybe nowadays the meditation method, they don't go through this process. Okay. So this is what it mentioned here. A lot of just a few terminology, but not very confusing. Let's try to take a look. You see here they say they criticize the Abhidhamma, they criticize the Sarvastivadin. They say what? He said it didn't go far enough. Why? Because he said for Sarvastivadin, they still got their own nature, sabhava. That is the point. Open the fan. Okay, let's take a look. So it mentioned that it doesn't go to the end. You see. They say this is not an ultimate fact in its own right, for it cannot be anything by itself. So it couldn't be, or there must be formed from anything. So they say it's supposed to be empty of any sabhava. Sabhava means the nature. Okay, from the sabhava, we are able to identify different mentality, and the materiality. For example, once you feel jealousy, okay, meaning to say that your proximate cause must be the success of other people. This is how is the features of the jealousy, and then compassionate. The proximate cause must be the pitifulness of somebody. So meaning to say that you wouldn't confuse between the jealousy and the compassionate. The reason is because the proximate cause is different and the characteristic is different. So this in Abhidharma we call it as a swabhava, the nature itself. Okay. Then next, let's take a look. You see, okay, natural inherent condition of something existing through its own power alone, by itself. But whereas the Madhyamika, he said, nothing can exist by itself. So they call it, and Madhyamika, they say, in this, he said, it's underwent a subtle shift in the meaning to the intrinsic nature, existence. They call it as an intrinsic existence. If you've got intrinsic existence, meaning to say it's the wrong view for Madhyamika. So that is the difference. Next, we go to the Nagarjuna. Yeah, Sally, please. Can you please read the passage, Sally?
Nagarjuna Nagarjuna's critique of the notion of Bhava argues that anything which arises according to at all phenomena do can have no inherent existence nature. For what it depends on what condition it is. Moreover, if there is nothing with inherent existence, that is self-existence, there's nothing with other existence. Parabhava, that is something which is dependent for its existence and nature on something else, which has self-existence. So there is not anything with true substantially existent nature, bhava. Hence, no non-existent abhava in the sense of true existence that has gone out of existence. Like Nagarjuna, the profession of wisdom literature therefore regards all dharmas as like a dream or magical illusion. This does not mean that they are simply unreal. Their ungraspable nature is rather wholly different from what is seen, like in the nick of the conjurer, or we might now say like illusion in a virtual reality, electronic media, except that all components of the medium would also be seen as perceptual illusions too. There is something there in experience that one can describe it as in the terms of Dharma. So it is wrong to deny this existence, yet they do not have substantial existence either. What we experience does not exist in an absolute sense, but only in a relative way. As in the passing of interdependent phenomena, the nature of Dhammas lies in between absolute non-existence and substantial existence, in accordance with early sutta passage quoted by Nagarjuna. This is what Nagarjuna means by middle way. He argues that something with current existence would substantially exist and be eternal. To believe in such an entirety is to hold to eternalist view, while to believe such a thing could go out of existence is to hold to the annihilationist view. Both these views being condemned by the Buddha. The Madhyamika interpretation of condition arising sees it as meaning that phenomena are not only mutually dependent for their arising in time, but also in their very nature. Thus, it cannot be really spoken of as separately identifiable and identifiable entities which interact. By itself, the thing is nothing. It is what it is what it is only in relation to other things, and they are what they are in relation to it, and yet other things. In his examination of the process of seeing, Nagarjuna argues that there is no activity of vision which is presently not seen. Therefore, one cannot say that there is something vision which may then go on to perform a separate action. Seeing, vision, and seeing are mutually dependent and cannot be separately identified. As the perfection of wisdom teacher would paradoxically put in putting vision empty of vision. That is, then no real activity vision which sees. But if the vision does not see, then non-vision certainly does not see. How can one identify a seer who is characterized by his seeing? Without a seer, how can there be anything seen? How can there be anything seen? All such concepts, and more generally one of subject and object, are meaningful only in relation to each other. Similarly, what is short depends on what is long, for what is long and short are correlative concepts. But by such reasoning, Nagarjuna even says that the unconditioned, traditionally a term for nirvana, is conceptually dependent on the condition. It's opposite.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Sally 啊，你個 sound effect 啊，有聽到聲，不過唔係好清楚。
真係
冇佢個
聽到喎，
冇佢個尖聲啊，唔夠尖你知冇？所以變到話聽到係 blur blur 咁樣樣喎，所以佢變到聽你誒有聲啊，但係唔係好清楚係連啲乜嘢喎？啊，就係我哋講啊，side effect 會覺得 bass and treble 嗬，個 treble 唔夠咁樣樣，我淨係 bass 好重咁樣樣，OK 嗬，
奇怪，
啊係啊，
知唔知邊個咩問題？
如果淨係 bass 係咪？簡單嚟講啊，我哋好似喺 disco 嗰度咁樣樣喎。你明冇？啊，你明明係讀佛經啊，我哋好似喺 disco 嗰度咁樣，我哋跟住跳舞開啦。你淨係有 bass 啫嘛，冇 triple 你知唔知嘛？ Okay. Okay, finish, Mr. Leong. Okay, let's take a look at so for this paragraph, basically what it mentioned, which is something relatively exists. Okay, basically, Mr. Leong, can you adjust yourself for 90 degrees? Yes, now it's perfect. Just now you are in a horizontal way, we see it. Okay, well, for this paragraph, as we know, in Nagarjuna way, he see the thing, he said, thing will exist only through the comparison. For example, if we say something's long, there might be something short and for comparison. Then why we label it as a short? Because there's something as a long. And then why we label it as a long? Because must be something as a short. So basically in our concept, all exists only relatively. For example, sometimes you will say that, Mr. Leong, are you the tall? Are you tall? If I ask you, Mr. Leong, how will you answer, Mr. Leong?
The thing is relativity lah. See how tall or how short.
Maybe Mr. Leong will say, if you try to compare, 20 years ago you are short, because you are older already. 20 years ago, you are very young and handsome, right? So now you're considered short already. Then after another 20 years, so you are getting more crooked, that lead to a then you're getting shorter. So meaning to say that long and short doesn't exist. This only exists through the comparison only. Am I right? So you can compare through yourself, you can compare through us. So this is how. Okay, for Nagarjuna, actually, the previous paragraph, the whole paragraph mentioned, this must be somebody see the thing, the seeing itself, this is very philosophy. I remember in the way the Buddha, we didn't really go through, even though that part is very complicated. But this one, I found that it's just that part is very philosophical. But anyway, in the very beginning, we noticed that Nagarjuna tried to argue that thing must be based on condition. There's no such thing of intrinsic nature, like what the Sarvastivadin they mentioned. Okay, so that is what Sari go through the whole paragraph. So let's see how we come back here. You see Nagarjuna critiques the notion Shabhava. You see, he say anything which arises according to condition must be by on condition. Nothing such as Shabhava. Okay, whereas in Abhidhamma actually we mentioned that all the Chatasika is having Swabhava. So remember that's a different. I think maybe for those who learns the Madhyamika, they go to study in Sarvastivadin before. So they notice that this is something which is not that right. So later on, they write the article, maybe they wrote the article, maybe through the meditation, they notice that there's no such thing of a cell nature. Something like that. Okay. Yes, Mr. Leong, any question?
Sifu, regarding the Buddha's teaching, all things are related to causes and conditions, and also according to Sampada, Samappada, because everything is interdependent.
Actually, Sarvastivadin, like what the Theravada nowadays, they also mention Paticca Samuppada. But anyway, if you go through the analyze the thing to the finest particle, the finest particle is the one who formed the whole universe. Maybe through that meditation experience that that one, which is how to say, which is inseparable anymore. So that one, which form the whole universe. So they said this is one got the intrinsic nature. Maybe through their meditation experience. So that is what actually Buddha in Nikaya, it doesn't mention very clear for this type of Kalapa, from Kalapa going deeper to the ultimate truth. Not really. Since Buddha never mentioned, so the Buddha disciple, they have their own way. Then everybody think that they are from Buddha saying. So they end up, you go your way, I go to my way. Mr. Leong, anything more?
Sifu, Buddha did not explain because why is beyond the understanding of human beings to such a sub-molecular structure or matter.
But Mr. Leong, actually, nowadays, even if you meditate yourself, you're still able to see it. But the way I see is Nikaya exists by its simplicity. Because at that time, everybody just try to memorizing the Nikaya. So Nikaya, it couldn't be comprehensive and complete. It must be short and precise because memorizing only. So that's why, due to the memorizing, so they don't have much detail. So that's why the jungle monk, forest monk, the way they teach is very simple if they based on Nikaya only. Whereas we based on Abhidhamma, we have more detail. But of course, most of the detail maybe is from the Buddha disciple. So Mr. Leong, this is the problem. Nikaya by itself is simple. That's why we don't see further thing regards that. So that's why if you learn the meditation from the forest monk, basically no kalapa, because Nikaya they don't see any kalapa, the words. Maybe even they exclude the nimitta because not very obvious the word of nimitta in the Nikaya. All this type of stuff, and then maybe the cultivation, how to from sila to samadhi, how to samadhi to prajna, how to verify your arahant. All this is not available in Nikaya because it's too simple. Okay, next let's take a look. Okay, you see so there's not anything which is true, substantially exists nature. So it keep on mention, no such thing as a bhava. There must be out of condition. So he used example, it's just like a dream. The whole world exists is like a dream, like an illusion. Then he said, this is the middle way, what the Nagarjuna claimed. Okay, there must be either not annihilation nor existent, nor eternal. So that's we call as the middle way. Class, how do we understand middle way? Class, you can understand through the Pacceka Samuppada. For example, okay, so this is our present life, this is our past life, this is our future life. Okay, if you say that, I myself, all the karma is eternal for the future life, so this is called eternalism. If you say that my future life and now totally no relationship, that is we call it annihilation. So there's a very famous court case, 1,000 years ago, there's a thief, he stolen something, he stole something. So he had been caught by the policeman, and then he go to the judge. So the judge said that, okay, you stole something. It is correct or not? Are you admit or are you confess or will you confess? He said no. He said, you see, the people who stole the thing is days ago, but now I'm the different with the previous one. So you shouldn't penalize me. You should penalize those who stole the thing many days ago. So if you are the judge, how are you going to rebut the point? Yes, Sally? Tim Ho?
Don't know lah, Sifu.
I don't know. So meaning to say, as a judge, you say, so you are, you are pleaded no guilty, NADD, DANA, release immediately. No, the judge is not. The thief is very smart, so you have to answer the smart way. So, Mr. Leong, how are you going to answer? If the
Cut off the hand that steal the thing.
how what lah?
Cut off the hand that steal the thing or take the thing.
Cut off the hand. Oh, you mean hudud law? Sorry, here we are a Muslim country, so we don't practice hooded law. Okay, basically, what the chief is trying to argue is using this and either the annihilation or the eternalism. Well, basically, we will say that, of course, you are different from 10 days ago, but without 10 days ago, you don't see you yourself. And both 10 days ago and you, present of you, they are both related. Without the 10 days ago of you, how can I see the present of you? So meaning to say that even though 10 days ago you still something, but it still relate to present you. So you are committed, you still committed the karma, and then you have get the you should get the penalty. So you should have the answer in this way. Is this correct? So meaning to say that we have relations to even to the past life. So the relationship is very important. But this is a different. Past life and present life is a different. But it's not a total different entity. The karma is still related. Okay. So that is the meaning here in Nagarjuna. Once we talk about the middle way. Okay. And then he said that it's not only dependent from their arising in time, but they're also in their own nature. See, not only mutually dependent, they must be dependent. Okay. So this is what the Nagarjuna mentioned. Okay. Then here is all the what are seeing the vision one. So we just ignore it. So now we go to this. So this is about the comparison for the the concept. So now we go to as illusion, light and empty. Yes, May, can you please read the passage? As illusion, light and empty, please.
Existence processes. No bedrock existence, so to speak, can be found even the nirvana, but fully knowing and accepting this gives one, so to speak, as a bedrock. Tibetan fighters of Gelugpa school who follow the Mahayana view thus see a triple aspect to some things being empty or sawaba. Things, person, move, tables, mountains that can be analyzed into their parts, which may be themselves further analyzed, like sawaba as they are dependent on those parts, be these physical or mental, and have no true existence of their own in this sense, lacking both inherent existence and inherent nature. Dhammas, which is one reaches rigorous analysis into parts, are dependent on other dhammas for their rising. They lack savaba as they are not independent, hence are lacking inherent existence. Both everyday thing and dhammas are also dependent on the imputation by mental destination in relation to other things or dhamma. They lack an inherent nature or one from their own side. But the Nirvana is dependent in this sense. Amitabhis would all agree, point one. They will agree with point two as long as these only constant condition dharmas, not Nirvana. Those are these dividing ideas of dharmas, as in some existing timelessly compromise the idea of dharma other than Nirvana being dependent. It is on point three that there is more of a break made with Abhidhamma ideas. It should be noted, though, there is a suggestion of three in the Vivajavada, Theravada idea that dukkha, Pali dukkha, condition phenomena can be known in the same moment that they are stopping. Nirvana is known.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, class, let's take a look. A few terminology, let me try to define first. See, Vibhajavata. Class, the Theravada nowadays, they are one of the Vibhajavata. Vibhaja meaning to say that they try to analyze the thing. Okay, so Sarvastivadina is also, let me see first, Sarvastivada. No, they are not one of the Vibhajavata, no, they are different. So Abhidhamisa mean, Vibhajavata, include Vibhajavata and Sarvastivadin. So class, let's take a look. See, from here, it start to mention the Gelupa school. Gelupa is a Gelupa. Gelupa, like Dalai Lama, he himself is the Gelupa. Okay, Gelupa is quite famous for the Madhyamika. So the Madhyamika Prasangika view that three aspects. Number one, they say the things can be analyzed into their part. So no problem, you see, everything that could be analyzed to a different part. Second is the Dharma. They say one can reach by rigorous analysis into the part. You can just analyze the Dharma. Here the Dharma actually also means the things, even though our five aggregate. They say the lack of a sabhava is they are not independent, hence are lacking in inherent existence. So because they try to analyze it, they don't see they are lacking in the inherent existence. They don't have the inherent existence. But the Nibbana itself is what is independent in this sense, meaning to say that even though the nirvana itself is also they are lack an inherent nature, you see, meaning to say that nirvana itself also based on the condition. So this is something is quite different. Number one, class, if let's say we got human, you can analyze it. Abhidhamis and the Madhyamika, they agree. Second, when you analyze it to the finest particle, then this is based on the cause and condition. The Abhidhamis agree, and they also agree. Both are agree. So the last one, the Nibbana. For the Madhyamika, they say even though Nibbana itself also based on the condition, but for this, the Abhidhamis, they disagree. They said no, the Nibbana itself, it doesn't based on any condition. It is by itself, it's sense already. It's a true nature. I have to stop here because the repairer is coming to repair my temple. They come in the wrong time. Okay, so today, please do a little bit of revision for today. I think Mrs. Leong, 係咪聽到個耳仔好多個耳仔都聽唔係好明係咪？今日個課係咪？ Okay, so just do a little bit of revision, okay, and then I just stop here, so in the coming lesson, we still got many things which is very interesting. For example, you see, we talk about what is the conventional truth and the language. So they are considered as what we view them as a concept in our brain is a concept, and it is not the ultimate truth, but we use it for the communication. Okay, please palms together. I wish to inculcate more favorable consciousness through transferring marriage to my past life enemy and relative.
To my past life enemies and relatives.
May they be liberated.
May they be liberated.
And free from suffering.
And free from suffering.
Attain Nibbana.
And
helping others to do the same.
Helping others to do the same.
Yes, Mr. Leong.
Thank you, Sifu, for today's lessons. Let's pay true respect to Sifu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bye-bye.